Right, so out of all the Total War Warhammer 3 videos, this one's going to be the least lacking in real evidence, because I think this one can go just about any way. It's the maps of Total War Warhammer 3. The campaign maps. Now, what they're going to do in terms of the sort of smaller campaign, the more focused campaign, along the lines of the Old World and Vortex campaigns for Warhammer 3, I think is anyone's guess. A guess that was running around for a long time was the End Times. Another one that was running around was one focused on the idea of incarnates of the Winds of Magic. I'm personally wondering if they might have the campaign focus on the days of Geheimnisnacht and Hexensnacht, which are the days in Warhammer lore where things get really fucked up, and the veil between the mortal world and the world of chaos, the world of magic, the Aether, the warp, whatever you want to call it, gets particularly thin. Either which way, there is almost assuredly going to be a smaller campaign in Warhammer 3, and odds are that's going to just center on the Darklands and the Mountains of Morn, and the Mortal Empire's equivalent, or Immortal Empires, if that's what they want to call it, or let's say like Divine or Infernal Empires, because that sounds even cooler, will likely then add the current Mortal Empires map to that. Now, I think the one bit of speculation we can provide with a bit of evidence is that odds are the versions of Ulthuan, Lustria, Southlands, and Nagaroth that we have in Mortal Empires right now in Warhammer 2 are going to be scrapped. Creative Assembly has not only improved the amount of map that can fit in the game at a given time, because the map for Total War Troy is considerably bigger, but I believe a few of the Creative Assembly designers, Will at CA, or which one of them, I can't remember which, sorry, they have said that they are fully aware that the continents other than the Old World in the Mortal Empires map are a little underrepresented right now. And you look at Lustria and Nagaroth and the Southlands, and they just look bastardized. It's kind of sad. Whereas the Vortex versions are much more fully complete. And another important thing is that you can circumnavigate them, which is really significant for those people who start in the Darklands in Mortal Empires right now. So, I am inclined to say that one of the big changes to Mortal Empires in Warhammer 3 is going to be the addition of full, proper Vortex versions of Nagaroth, Southlands, Lustria, and Ulthuan. That would have sounded crazy a few years back, but I think it's starting to actually sound sane and rational. Now, the part that is a little more debatable and anyone's guess, interesting vortex there by the AI, is the Far East. It is guaranteed we are getting the Darklands, the Mountains of Morn. What is more of a toss-up there, especially in the Warhammer 3 smaller campaign, whatever it is, we don't know if they're going to try and tilt the map to put a little bit of Kislev in there, particularly since Kislev is probably going to be the protagonist of that campaign. It can be assumed that Kislev on the Mortal Empires map is going to get a significant expansion, considering there's like only 6 or 7 settlements up there right now. The Darklands of the Mountains of Morn are guaranteed. Cathay and End, it's difficult to say. I think that even if Cathay and End are not added as playable factions, there's a very good chance that there will be small fragments of Cathay and End which poke onto the Mortal Empires and Warhammer 3 campaign maps, and they will likely just be filled with Beastmen or, let's say, Hobgoblins, right? In the same way that Araby should be full of Arabians in Mortal Empires, but instead it's full of Bretonnians for some reason. And End, let's be honest, if they have the map actually proper, the kind of peninsular little soupy noodle that comes off of End is going to be poking into the Sea of Dread below the Darklands. So they're going to have to do something about that. If they don't want to just remove End from existence and pretend it never happened. The exact extent of that, yeah, is definitely going to be curious. I am very, very curious about one thing also, that being the realm of chaos. And I don't mean actually going into the Aether or the warp or what have you, actually going into the portals at the poles. That is a ridiculous idea that is not going to happen. It is true that there was a map that existed at one point of the warp or the Aether or what have you, but that was kind of a conceptual map, and having a static, unmoving map where you just got some floating rocks or some bullshit is not going to be accurate to how the Aether or the warp is actually supposed to function in the Warhammer universe. However, I think there is somewhat of a chance that they may go to the trouble, Crave Assembly may go to the trouble, of extending the map just a bit north and including some of the Chaos Marauder tribes that live north of Norska, where Archaon starts in the Mortal Empires campaign right now, as there are a good couple tribes up there. This may give the Chaos Warriors and Chaos Demons more to do before they try to invade the civilized races to the south. This may also give more space for including the Kurgan, as the Kurgan are almost certainly going to be included, at the very least just as a Norscan reskin, in Warhammer 3, as a place where the Chaos Demons can start and just generally fuck with those guys. Not to mention the fact that the Ogres, of course, duke it out with the Kurgan and the Hung pretty frequently over a little landmark called the Challenge Stone, north of the Mountains of Morn. And I am beyond fascinated to see how the Darklands and Mountains of Morn get handled, because the maps in Warhammer Fantasy have had a bit of a tendency of being kind of inconsistent, and we'll have to see that. The Darklands are not going to look anything like anything that's in the game right now, odds are. Alright. I hope you folks enjoyed. I'll see you later.